Everyone here live now from Fox. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you from Fox News' Bill Malugin reporting of a situation happening at the border right now. He is reporting per multiple law enforcement sources within the last hour, Border Patrol agents near Fronton, Texas, were fired upon from Mexico by suspected cartel gunmen as a group of illegal aliens were being brought across the river. I'm told that Border Patrol returned fire. Nobody hit on either side right there. And we are going to continue on with this as Texas DPS tells Bill Malugin that they are now patrolling the area and has a drone in the air and can see Mexican military assets now staging on the other side of the river there. So again, we are going to be following this story here for you on Live Now from Fox. It is very fluid at this moment, but this comes at a time when big changes are happening at the White House when it comes to border security, and a lot of these measures are taking place pretty much on a daily basis. We're also seeing mass deportations happening really now every day, as just yesterday, more than 900 people were picked up from major cities, from Boston to Los Angeles as well. And we were bringing that to you, just some of the many arrests that were happening yesterday, including an ISIS member that was accused there of crossing the border illegal as well. So again, some major disturbances though happening on the border. There's gunshots reportedly fired at U.S. Border Patrol agents. They are investigating right now, and we will keep an eye on this developing story for you all right here on Live Now from Fox.
Back to the southern border now, where News Nation's Jorge Ventura is standing by for us. And Jorge, we are hearing of a new threat by Mexican cartels tonight. What are you monitoring?
Yeah, that's right, Natasha. This is extremely alarming. Mexican authorities are now putting out a new warning of cartels planning explosives on roads, highways, and neighborhoods in Tamaulipas, Mexico. That sits right across the Rio Grande Valley. Every single day, thousands of Texans cross over to the border to visit Tamaulipas. You're looking at these three images now with three different types of explosives. Mexican officials are urging Mexican citizens to not touch these explosives and to avoid them. And Natasha, I just got off the phone with a contact in Tamaulipas, Mexico, who tells me that those explosives are likely tied to two different criminal groups. The first, the Gulf cartel that controls Tamaulipas, and the second, the new cartel, Jalisco New Generation cartel. They're both battling for control in that Tamaulipas area. The contact also informs me that these explosives are often actually tied to drones and target Mexican authorities and other criminal groups. This warning is coming from the Mexican side of the border, but we are also urging Americans who are traveling to Mexico to keep an eye out for these type of explosives. Once again, you're taking a look at them right there on your screen, three different types from Tamaulipas, Mexico. It's extremely alarming, especially for American citizens traveling to Mexico. And this new cartel warning also coming as News Nation has confirmed that cartel members shot an American hiker in Jacuba, California. That's right outside of San Diego, right on the border. You're actually looking at video of the American hiker actually being airlifted by Border Patrol agents, by BORTAC. It's a special unit with Border Patrol agents. According to the hikers, they say they didn't realize they were being held up by the cartel members because they didn't speak Spanish. And now you're seeing that video of that hiker being rescued. The cartel members did flee back to Mexico. This incident does come as President Trump has now designated Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And Natasha, last year I was actually reporting on that Mexican side where those cartel members came from. I was actually embedded with Mexican immigration officials on a story that we were working on for News Nation. That area is extremely dangerous. It's controlled by armed cartel members. We actually couldn't even go embedded with Mexican immigration unless the Mexican army was alongside us. So once again, it's an extremely dangerous area right there in Jacuma. That other side is Tecate, Mexico.
Last night, when signing the executive orders declaring the cartels foreign terrorist organizations, the president was asked about boots on the ground. Take a listen.
President Trump, if cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations, would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign, and Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right.
All right, Jonathan, when he says stranger things have happened, what does it look like, assuming the president declares war, and he has a lot of powers to do that with Congress, depending on how it works, of targeted drone strikes on cartel leaders, Navy SEAL raids, Delta Force, whatever it is, raids on drug lab production facilities, fentanyl trafficking organizations?
Well, first of all, Leland, he doesn't have to declare war because these individuals are on a terrorist list now. The United States is technically in a offensive as well as defensive position now, and they can bring all of the assets the United States has to bear, which includes intel, military, and also the white collar aspect of this, because people have to realize these cartels are businesses. If they're not making money, they're not going to exist. And so now the United States can look at them the same way they look at Iran, for instance, and go after their financials. Although the difference here is that primarily cartels are a cash business, but they can start to go after them and the nations in which they're in and put pressure on them and start working this systematically. When I was in Colombia, we led training missions, and we were not allowed to go in there as a military operation
I get that.
because it was a law enforcement
I get that,
operation.
Jonathan. My question, though, is how difficult really is it? I mean, when we think about these cartels, and they are gangs, in many cases, they have armies that are better equipped than, say, the Mexican military. But it wouldn't really take that much, would it, if the order was given to go down to Mexico and start knocking some heads, a few drone strikes, a couple raids, and the cartels might have a problem recruiting people all of a sudden, wouldn't they?
Well, it could be, but see, the cartels are involved in the intimidation process of a lot of these states, the neighborhoods, the people that work down there. So when you look at the people who work for the cartel, there's a difference between those individuals, the soldiers for the cartel, and the leaders, the actual business leaders of the cartel. So they're going to define all these things. If they just went down there and tried to start knocking heads, you're going to get into a quagmire because you just push them into the shadows. And so we have to look at this systematically, which I believe Trump will do. And as far as the border goes and the immigrants, you can see that the border, every drug case that I was ever a part of in the FBI went back either to the Canadian border or to the southern border, but they always involved cartels or drug organization, criminal enterprises outside of the United States.
Excuse me for interrupting you. President Trump just talked about this a few minutes ago. Take a listen.
Canada, very much so. They've allowed millions and millions of people to come into our country that shouldn't be here. They could have stopped them, and they didn't. And they've killed 300,000 people last year, my opinion, have been destroyed by drugs, by fentanyl. The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive. The fentanyl coming through Mexico is massive. And people are getting killed and families are being destroyed.
If President Trump, and it seems to be in the process of, quote unquote, sealing the southern border, how much of a crimp does that put on the cartels that may make going after their drug trade easier?
It makes a tremendous impact, or it is a tremendous impact on their ability to move their product, if we look at this as a business, into the United States, which is their biggest buyer. And so blocking the border, putting a wall there on the southern border means that you are causing their main delivery avenue a disruption. So that is exactly what we need to start doing, is looking at these individual ways. But I have to point this out, Leland. This is not now, because they've designated these individuals as terrorists. It's not just a law enforcement issue. It's now a national security issue. And so that puts all the assets at play, which is way different than the cartel issue in Colombia before this issue arose.
You think about it just in terms of terrorism. It's about time, right? You at some point with fentanyl deaths, you're having a 9/11 every 11 days.